All right, let's talk about something most of us have probably dealt with, the PMO, the project management office. But hold on, we're not talking about that slow, bureaucratic beast you might be picturing. Nope. Today we're diving into something much leaner, much faster, the minimum viable PMO.
But before we get to the good stuff, I want to show you a number. Just look at this. 50%. Kind of stark, right? So, take a guess. What do you think this represents in the world of PMOs?
Yeah, that 50%, that's the failure rate. Let that sink in. Half of all traditional PMOs are completely disbanded within just 3 years. It's a huge number. And it tells us one thing loud and clear. The old way of doing things, it's just not working anymore.
So that's the big question, isn't it? If the traditional model is so broken, how in the world do you build a PMO that actually lasts? One that delivers real, tangible value and, actually helps the company speed up instead of grinding everything to a halt.
Well, before we can build a better one, we've got to understand why the old ones fall apart. So let's get into the weeds a bit. Why do so many PMOs fail?
And here's where it all starts to sound familiar, right? We're talking about endless bureaucracy, mountains of paperwork, and processes that just seem to multiply. The value, it takes forever to show up, if it ever does. And pretty soon, the PMO is completely out of sync with what the business actually needs to get done. They end up being roadblocks instead of helpers.
So, is there a way out of this mess? You bet. Let's talk about the antidote, the Minimum Viable PMO, or, as we'll call it, the MVPMO. If that name sounds familiar, it's because it's borrowed straight from the tech world's minimum viable product, and the idea is exactly the same. An MVP-PMO is the absolute leanest, most stripped-down version of a PMO you can build that still delivers real, tangible business value. It's all about cutting the fluff and focusing on quick, visible wins.
And it all boils down to 3 core principles. First up, lean governance. That just means you only use the processes you absolutely cannot live without. Nothing extra. Second, incremental scaling. You start super small, prove you're valuable, and only then do you even think about growing. And third, and this one is key, you focus on early wins. Go after the biggest, most obvious pain points first to get some momentum going. And when you put them side by side, the difference is just night and day. The old school PMO, it's all about control, compliance, making sure you fill out the forms correctly. But the MVPMO, its goal is totally different, enablement and speed. It's not about following the process, it's about getting real business results. So you ditch the giant year-long planning phase for a quick, iterative launch.
Okay, theory is great, but how do you actually do this, right? Let's get practical. Here's your blueprint, and it's got 4 parts you just can't skip.
Number 1, and this is a big one, you need an executive sponsor who's actively in your corner, no exceptions. Number 2, you stick to only the core essential processes. Think intake, prioritization, and basic reporting. That's it. 3, your tool set has to be pragmatic. Use the tools you already have. Don't go buy some massive new software suite. And finally, number 4, keep the team lean. We're talking 1 person to start, not a whole department.
And I really want to hammer this point home. That big, expensive, super complex project management software, it's pretty much the main villain in this story. The whole point of the MVPMO is to be fast and functional. Getting stuck in a year-long software rollout before you've delivered any value is, well, it's the exact opposite of what we're trying to do.
Okay, so we've got the blueprint. Now how do we launch this thing? How do we take it from an idea on a slide to a real, living, breathing part of the organization? The roadmap is actually pretty straightforward, and it starts with the most important step of all. Don't try to solve every problem at once. Just find the single biggest pain point your organization has with projects. Just one. From there, you write up a simple charter, get your sponsor to sign off, and then, and this is important, you launch it as a service people can use, not a mandate they have to follow. Then, after about 90 days, you look at the results and you adjust. Right, let's talk about measuring success. Because this is another huge mindset shift. We're not going to be measuring how busy we are. We're going to measure the value we're creating.
So you can just forget about those old vanity metrics, like how many reports got filed or how many templates were filled out. Who cares? Instead, we're asking the real questions. Are projects getting done faster? Is the business seeing actual bottom-line value from them? And maybe most importantly, are the people we're supposed to be helping, our stakeholders, actually happy with our work?
So you've launched, you've gotten some quick wins, people are happy, awesome. But then comes the tricky part. What's next? How do you scale this thing up without accidentally building the exact same bureaucratic monster you just replaced? The key is to be super disciplined. You only scale up if and only if these three things are true. First, you've clearly, demonstrably solved that first problem you tackled. Second, leadership has come to you and said, okay, here's the next big problem we need you to solve. And third, you promise to solve that new problem by adding the absolute smallest possible function you can. Again, no fluff.
This really is the core challenge as your MVP-MO grows up. It's a constant balancing act. You have to add just enough process to solve real problems, but not so much that you bring back all the red tape and frustration you got rid of in the first place. It's a tightrope walk for sure.
So, when you pull it all together, you see the minimum viable PMO isn't just another set of rules or a new template. It's a completely different way of thinking. It's about building a governance model that's lean, that's focused on value, and that prizes speed and the ability to adapt over slow, rigid control.
So I'll leave you with this one thought to chew on. Think about your own organization right now. If you were going to do this, what's that one single nagging pain point that you could solve first with a lean, focused, and genuinely helpful PMO?
Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Check out the next video on this topic, or subscribe to our channel to keep up with our latest explainer videos, live webinars, and other insights into technology solutions.